So I am the founder and CEO of eMindful, the little tiny startup company that has been swimming with Aetna and others for the past 6 years. And yes, I have swum with the sharks. I spent 20 years on Wall Street. I was a closet meditator there, and I actually considered whether I wanted to admit that, considering the venue, but anyway. So for those of you who don't recognize Mark Berlini, this is the CEO of Aetna. He was wonderfully influenced by Kyra. He is quite a yoga enthusiast, but with Kyra's nurturing, he really learned quite a bit about mindfulness, and he truly is a big supporter of mindfulness. You see a little picture in the PBS NewsHour there. That's actually Dr. Elisha Goldstein. He created the Mindfulness at Work program that we use at Aetna and over 100 other companies around the globe. And so the way that we're doing this, it is live, similar to what the Potential Project does, but it's also done online. So we do it in a webinar format, and you can see and hear and speak to and interact with both the teacher and the other participants. So that's a little bit of background, gives you some idea how we are delivering. So you see, why is Mark so happy? Well, you can see some of the reasons why he's so happy. So how do we go about implementing mindfulness in a way that's really effective? Over the years, we've had some battle scars, and we've learned that the most important thing, frankly, is to make sure your senior leadership is involved and is buying in. We rolled out to a law firm, a global law firm, and they are billing at $600 and $700 an hour, and you can imagine how many people wanted to take an hour off to go notice their breath. So we had, the HR team came to us and said, gee, we're having a hard time getting these people to come to class. And I said, well, okay, why don't we have your senior leadership team take one of our classes, and they'll see the benefit, and then they'll be supportive and bring others into the fold, so to speak. So she just looked at me and she said, well, I really can't imagine that happening. And I said, well, there's your problem. So bring senior leadership in. Another thing is, really, mindfulness isn't something you plug in. It's got to be a part of the culture. So actually at Aetna and even some of the other companies that we've been involved in, we go to meetings now, and they actually have someone in the meeting who leads a 2 or 3 or 4 minute mindfulness practice. And they talk about it. We're at lunch, and they're talking about their mindfulness practice and eating mindfully and so on. It's really part of all that they're doing. So how to reach a distributed population? So these are organizations where they're distributed across the country or across the globe, and the question comes up, well, how can we do something for these people so that it's similar in the different areas? So one way of doing that is actually having a little QA process. We worked with Duke University to come up with actually a fairly robust one. And we work with our instructors, and we have the benefit of having the classes recorded, so we can look at the recordings, and we can go through the list, and we can talk with the teachers and say, okay, here's where you could have done a little bit something different here, and so on. And they really appreciate that. So whose time? This is a really big question. If you're going to offer this to your employees, you want to make it a gift, it's really nice to say, okay, we're going to, you should do this on company time or organization time. One of the benefits of the approach that we have taken, thanks largely to Kyra, is we have used statistically validated instruments to do pre- and post-measurements for every single program we've ever done. That started with the randomized control trial that we did back in 2010 with Kyra's very little pot of money. and it, it continues on to this day. So that data over 6 years and thousands of participants, one of the data items that comes from the work limitations questionnaire shows a gain in productivity of 47 minutes per week. So almost right off the bat, the time is being offset. The classes are 55 minutes, and over the course of a year, you would get 37 hours in total. One of the things when we've done longitudinal data collection, 3, 6, 12 months out, those numbers actually increase. So really, it's senior leadership. It's also middle management who has to be involved, because those are the people who have to give the time off to the people who are going to participate, right? So we get notes all the time saying, gee, I really wanted to take this class, but every time I went to go to class, there was some major project that had to be done, in the next hour. So getting the middle managers involved, getting them to take the classes, encouraging them to take the classes. And then what has happened is many of them have come out and said, wow, this is so terrific. I want my whole team to do it. So this is a sort of a self-fulfilling spiral here. So how do you get this started? Well, promote it, market it. Talk about some of the benefits. Don't oversell it, but talk about the real benefits of doing this kind of work. Be creative, get the leadership involved, encourage participation, maybe offer incentives, market the results. If you have good data, show it. Hey, as a team, we are less stressed now. As a team, we're sleeping better. As a team, we're more productive. Participation will definitely drive more participation. What about maximizing the engagement? So this is a question we get all the time. You have these classes, how many people actually attend? Well, on average, 80% of the people who sign up for the classes come to every single class. So how does that happen? Well, part of it is that it's really easy to access. So make it easily accessible for people. In our particular case, you end a meeting and you open up another window browser and you're in the classroom in a minute. But for live engagements, make it so that it's not a 15-minute walk to get there. And then sustaining the momentum. So really, there are different ways that you can continue to encourage people to participate. We actually have a little program that goes on afterwards and offers 10-minute guided practices throughout the day. But you can do that within the organization. You can meet in a conference room and run a little 10 or 15-minute session. And the social connection there is just really terrific. And then measuring results. So this is something we have really focused on, done a lot on, and so I would encourage you to look at the scientifically validated instruments. As Jacqueline had said earlier, understand what your objectives as an organization are, and then say, okay, well, how am I going to measure those? And bring the science into it as much as you possibly can. Right? Not the, do you feel better sort of science. And then lastly, look at all of the data. So there's numerical data, but there's also qualitative data. And we have a post-course survey that asks about 5 open-ended questions. And we just get reams and reams and reams of data about what this means to people. About what they got out of the course, what was the most important thing, how it helped them. They give us lots of examples. I mean, people really want to talk about it and share it. And it's really quite useful. I mean, we try to synthesize it and give it to the HR teams. Hey, your people are out telling their friends and family that they're so happy that they work for this organization because they have this tremendous benefit. People talk about coming into our classes. And they came in so that they can, learn to eat mindfully, and they come out and they feel transformed, that they're better wives, they're better parents, and so on. So those are the 10 steps that I came up with in terms of helping sort of implement this, and hopefully you'll find that useful.